This video might end up being one of the most important videos you ever watch. I do encourage that you listen all the way through to understand all of the little mistakes that I have made that have led me to the situation that I'm about to describe. I have a sheet in front of me which contains notes of everything that's happened in the last 48 hours, and I'm going to be referring to this throughout the video, and I'm going to be as transparent as I can with everything, and I hope that by the end of this video you'll come away making sure that you do not make the same mistakes that I did. This scam I believe to be quite a common one, but also one that many people don't know exists, and it involves your browser cookies. For those that don't know me, my name is Button. I've been a full-time broadcaster on Twitch over the past 6 or 7 years, and so taking extra care online is something I've always done whenever downloading a file, clicking a link, or even an email. This all started 3 weeks ago when I received a message from someone who I now know to be impersonating a marketing director working at Samsung Electronics. It is not uncommon for larger companies to approach sometimes. It does happen. We've worked with a few in the past and it's been brilliant. And I thought nothing of it, as it looked slightly suspicious, as they didn't have any followers in common with me. They were talking about collaborating on YouTube, which I haven't posted to in the last 5 months. And this was the first red flag. However, their LinkedIn profile aligned. They had about 3,000 followers on there. And so it seemed legit, and so it lowered my suspicions. I'd mentioned it to a few people that I had been approached by them at the time, but never acted on anything. And a few weeks later, somebody reminded me and asked how it went, which reminded me to reply to them. I don't have the screenshots of these replies, as will become clear later. This person had sent me professionally worded messages all the way through, and after I replied saying that I was interested to learn more, except I primarily make content on Twitch. They explained that this would work and that they were looking for long-term partnerships with creators to run advertising campaigns on some of their products. They sent me a list of some of the products they make and asked me to choose one for the campaign, and they offered me a choice between a Samsung S24, a 24 Plus, a 24 Ultra, and their Galaxy watches. I replied saying that I'd always used iPhones, but would be intrigued to do a comparison between an iPhone 16 Pro Max and the Samsung equivalent. And they sent me a reply recommending the 24 Plus, which would be the equivalent of the 16 Pro Max, so they said, which was also a red flag. Why would a company not want to show their flagship against its competitors? They later in the message, they said, let's move on to the financial side of things and what my price would cost. All of this being professionally worded. This is uncommon for companies to provide an expensive product that's $600, $700, $800, $900 and pay on top of it. However, it has happened in the past. We've worked with a few and they've been very successful. But I didn't really know how to approach it because this doesn't happen very often, and so I thought I'll sleep on it, and then in the morning I'll message a good fellow streamer friend of mine called Matt to ask his advice on a pricing structure. I woke up and decided that instead I'd figure it out myself. This would prove to be a critical mistake, as the screenshot from the original message that I'll put on screen now was the exact same message that he also received from the same person. Matt immediately thought that this was suspicious, asked for further identification via email, which he did not get, obviously. However, because I didn't have this conversation with Matt, I was never made aware of this. I replied to the financial request message stating that I was flexible with prices, as I know that different companies have varying marketing budgets. Some smaller companies, don't have as big of a budget as some of these larger ones. And they replied saying that they could provide a document in about an hour with all of the details, and I could make any changes that I felt needed. The person was incredibly professional throughout all the conversations, so did not raise any alarm bells in my head. They conversed exactly as I would expect somebody in a marketing director position to do. There was no signs of something like ChatGPT being used or anything like that. So I went live a couple of days ago. I did my normal live show, and I received a message about an hour and a half later. But I decided to wait until I'd finished my stream to deal with it after. They'd sent me a link to a site called DocuSign with a password to access a unique contract. DocuSign is a completely legitimate site. I've used it before. I've heard of it. And so I didn't think much of it. But this is where things get bad. I didn't notice that the link to the website was actually called fastdocusign.com and not just docusign.com. The page appeared completely as normal and asked me to enter the code that they'd sent me, which I did. A blurred contract then appeared on the screen, with a bar going through the middle, that said that you needed a subscription to this service, and below was a yellow button that said that you could edit it offline. The person in the Twitter DMs had told me that the service required a subscription and to click edit offline instead, which I thought nothing of at the time, though this was also a red flag. Why would a company like Samsung make you require a subscription to sign a contract? I don't know. But however, everything was so well designed that at the time there was no hint as to what was coming. As soon as I clicked edit offline, it downloaded a file. The file was named DocuSign. However, instead of a PDF, it was an application file. And I did notice this and thought this was weird. Perhaps it involved needing the code to access it again, which, thinking back, this was another major red flag. The document was meant to be offline in the first place, so why would it require a code to access it? I just didn't pick up on it. I opened the file and was greeted with a small DocuSign screen asking me to enter the code. I entered it and clicked enter. As soon as I did, the program went cloudy white and froze, and so I crashed it with Task Manager. I loaded it again and tried again. The same thing happened, so I loaded it again, and this time I left it open and frozen in the background whilst I sent a Twitter DM to the person to say that it was freezing. As soon as I clicked send, alarm bells started ringing in my head. But it was too late. Google Chrome opened itself and was being super slow and then crashed. After I tried to reopen it, it did the same thing. Eventually I got it open, but it was running super slow. I then called my friend Matt as soon as possible, because he's fairly clued up in the tech world, and explained to him what was going on, and he explained that he had also had the same email from the same person and thought that it was super suspicious. This just confirmed that this was really bad. I went to open my anti-malware software that I've used for years, but when I searched it, it was nowhere to be seen. I had completely forgotten to install it on this PC, and so I quickly downloaded it again, and as soon as it started scanning, it was warning me of a Trojan being blocked. I closed the pop-up, but it continued popping up over and over and over again. The file the Trojan was trying to remove was called, if I remember correctly, Flexera, which I googled and found out was something to do with Windows security. Matt then explained to me on the phone that he thought this was a cookie scam. Cookie scams, if you don't know what they are, steal all of your browser's cookies, which contain session data, which allows the attacker to pretend to be logged in just like you are on your computer. This will bypass things like passwords, two-factor authentication, and seed phrases. For example, if you're logged into a YouTube account and you close YouTube, shut down your computer, you load up that computer the next day, load up YouTube, you'll still be logged in. My first thought was that they initially mentioned my YouTube channel, so maybe they were after my Google account. And so I rushed to lock it down right away, along with Twitter and my Twitch account. Confirmation that they had access to these accounts came right away when I went to grab the screenshots of the evidence of the person on Twitter and noticed that they were now blocked on my account. I did not block them. I then unblocked them and noticed that all the DMs between both me and them had gone. I called Matt back and asked him to block and unblock me on Twitter to check to see if it automatically deleted all DMs when that happened, which he confirmed it did not. This then fully confirmed to me that they had been on my account. But then the big one hit me. My portfolio. Now, I don't do banking on my work computer, so I knew that those should be okay for now. However, I did have my MetaMask wallet on there where I store my crypto. I started looking into the crypto world about a year ago as I thought it was a good option to look at for investing in the future. I've dabbled with stocks and various things over the last 4 or 5 years, and this was going to be my first proper venture into the crypto world. My number one rule when I started was to never do anything crypto related on my work computer, just in case. But naively, I thought that it'd be fine because I was safe on the internet and I was always cautious with links and scams and various other things like that. About 7 years ago, someone donated to me on my stream exactly 1 Ethereum, which I'd held for all the years since. I used this 1 Ethereum, worth about $3,500 at the start of the year, to start building quite a substantial portfolio. Amplified massively by things like the US election, I built a portfolio that now contained a lot of money. I'm not going to disclose the figure in this video, but you'll understand and get an idea of how much that was as we go on. I'd worked so hard to get there, hours and hours every single day to ensure, hours and hours every day to ensure, that I kept building the portfolio responsibly and carefully, as the crypto world can be extremely volatile and dangerous. In fact, over the entire year, I've only missed 2 days of doing my analysis that I perform every single day. Even when I was away, I worked on it every single day. It was surreal to look at the number and know that I had built this up all in a year. And when fully sold, it would change my life. I'm trying not to get emotional here, but I plan to sell all this crypto stuff around next year when I expected things to start dropping off, and then use that money to achieve a couple of dreams of mine. The first being to pay off my parents' mortgage for them. It's always something I've wanted to do, and this would have allowed me to have done that. And the second being to have a good deposit on my first home with my partner. I ran to check on another device my positions, and to my horror, a sell order had been put through and every single cent was gone. For those who don't know, I used something called decentralized finance for my crypto, which is great, but has its downsides. One of them being that you're in full control of the safety of your assets, and it is all on you. There is no way of getting any of that money back. It is all completely gone, and those dreams now destroyed. I can only imagine how worse it could have been if I had been doing my online banking on my computer too, and I would have been left with absolutely nothing. Luckily, I have now managed to lock all of my accounts down, but I cannot stress enough to be extremely cautious online. Ensure you have antivirus software, anti-malware software, and be extremely thorough when looking at downloading something or clicking a link. I pray that none of this happens to anyone else. I wouldn't wish what I've been through in the last 48 hours on my worst enemy. Not only does this type of scam destroy your livelihood, in my case compromising all of my work accounts, but it can destroy any dreams you may have and wipe any savings or investments entirely, leaving you with nothing. If this was to happen, I can imagine in some cases it would be so bad that it could even lead to somebody potentially taking their own life from loss of everything that they worked so hard to build over many years. I've contacted the police and a national level fraud case has been opened. However, I will never see the money I lost again. But maybe by making this video, it may stop this from happening to somebody else. I'm going to attempt to rebuild what I lost, but it will take a very, very long time, as the various opportunities over the last year to amplify things are now gone. The moral of this video is to please be safe. I thought I was super careful, super cautious, and always safe when I was on the internet, but I wasn't. Thank you for listening.